Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our August edition of the Lebanon Plan Commission. I will go ahead and call our meeting to order. If we could start with a quick roll call, please.
Okay. Dan Bayshore, absent. Diane Scott. Here. Kevin Krulik.
Here.
Brian Tandy, absent. Corey Kuntz.
Here.
Keith Campbell.
Here.
Heather Schauler.
Here.
Rebecca Stanton, absent. And Lori Gross.
Here.
All right. Thank you so much, Kelly. So that would take us then right to the approval of the minutes. I believe we've all received the minutes. So if there are any questions, or I would entertain a motion. Got a motion to approve the minutes and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. I do have one item under old business, and that was continued from our July meeting, which is docket number 24-20, Lebanon Land Group LLC requesting an amendment for the Hickory Junction PUD ordinance. Ben, you want to tell us a little bit about that one?
Yes, I would. Thank you, Mr. Coots. Members of Plan Commission, I'll give you a little bit of an overview here. In working with the Cardin Associates folks, they're starting to get to the point where we're ready to put up some signage out there for the building, and they're negotiating specific design elements for some of their potential tenants that are part of the outlots. And they had approached me about making some changes to the PUD ordinance to reflect some of those items that they've been discussing. And what I'd actually suggested to them is perhaps it was better to just go ahead and go back and change all the references in the original PUD ordinance to the new UDO. So where before we were referencing chapter 7 for the signs in the old ordinance, I said, let's just change it to the new chapters, new UDO. The new UDO actually addressed a lot of their issues that they were running into with some of those things. And so the first thing we did is go back and look at all those references, update them to the new UDO. Made sure that the new UDO language addressed their concerns and their needs. And where it didn't, then we made a couple of minor changes. Some of the big things that you'll see are the signage section. And the original PUD ordinance, there was a fairly lengthy signage section that addressed larger multi-tenant signs out on State Road 39 and some of the interior signage. And when we actually looked at the new UDO, the way it was written, it actually addressed all those things. And so we actually eliminated the entire signage standard section and just referenced the new UDO, because that addressed everything they need from both an overall development signage and also specific signs for specific users. A couple other things in terms of specific changes we looked at with them were related to fueling stations. If for all these that will recall going through the new UDO, we had specific standards related to fueling stations. And so we looked at that with them and their potential tenant and identified a couple of specific things that their use and the way they designed their sites didn't really fit exactly into the way we had it written. And so we looked at that with them and made a couple of minor changes to like the canopy width and other things like that. But for most purposes, they are going to meet all of the UDO standards for fueling stations as well. There's just a couple of minor things that we made adjustments to allow for the user that's looking at that site. Other things that were updated, they have a new concept plan. So if we want to pull the screen up, we'll start with that. And just for a refresher from those who might be watching online, this is the property in question. To the north here is Interstate 65, State Road 39 runs along the western border, and then the Flying J is here. I've got very old aerial photography here because there is a big building, the field house that sits about right here in the middle of the site. And Bel Canto is the southeast corner of the site here with the 200 plus units, apartment units that they're building down here. And so the site, the remainder of the site, besides those two uses, this is where these standards would come into play. And so then what they've done then in their PUD ordinances, they've updated the concept plan to more closely reflect the infrastructure as it has kind of finalized. One of the differences you'll note is that right up here at the northern end is where the signal is there at the Flying J. NDOT would not allow an access to the site from that current signal. So you can see that's been eliminated here, whereas it was before. And then they've changed their other full access points at other locations in the site. So that's the big change here. Otherwise, relatively similar, just make some updates to the infrastructure, what some of those outlots and blocks look like based on what we know now that we didn't know back then. A lot of these images are the same as what we had before. This is images of the Bel Canto product, which you can actually see some of those out there now that look like this. That will probably look very familiar because that's what their amenity center looks like. Again, that's going to look pretty familiar. So this what they have added is some additional concepts of what the signage for the building would look like, reflective of the new standards, and then also what some of those outlot multi-tenant commercial spaces might look like conceptually. So that gives you a little bit of an idea of some of the changes that were made to the PUD ordinance. So what we've done is that this would essentially replace the old one rather than just writing in a couple of amendments. We would decide to just go ahead and rewrite the whole thing. And so this new PUD ordinance is up for discussion tonight, would replace that old ordinance and have those reference changes in them that we've discussed throughout. So with that, in terms of the process, this is very similar to the process to establish an initial PUD ordinance. So that would start with a review by the Plan Commission, which we're doing tonight, and holding a public hearing, after which the Plan Commission would make a recommendation on those amendments that's passed forward to the Common Council. And then the Common Council considers those amendments as part of a new ordinance that would be written and considered by the council at their next meeting. So that's the process, very similar to the initial process, just for this, in this case, to be for amending and replacing that ordinance. And so with that, then staff recommendation is that the Plan Commission forward the proposed amendments to the Hickory Junction PUD ordinance with a positive recommendation. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions if there are any.
Thanks, Ben. Any questions from the commission for Ben? And anything from the applicant? Don't feel obligated, but you're welcome.
Happy to introduce myself, say hi. My name is Dan Connors. I'm the Executive Vice President of Real Estate and Development for Cardin Associates. I've not been here, so I'm newer to the team in just March of this year. So been working with the Card Group for about a year and a half, joined them officially just in this past March. So if anything else does come up, I won't be the one back here. So I'll introduce myself now, but I think Ben summed everything up and gave a pretty thorough summary. So not sure what I would add to that, but happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from the commission? Good deal. Keep it easy on you tonight. All right, seeing there are no questions from the commission, I will officially open this for a public hearing. So if anyone has any public comment to make on this proposed amendment, please rush to the microphone. Seeing absolutely no movement in the room, I will go ahead and close that public hearing. And then commission, just as a reminder, so this one would be looking for either a positive or a negative recommendation to the Common Council for this amendment. So I would entertain, it could be positive or negative. Yes or no. So with that, any motions?
I'll make a motion to forward the proposed recommendation to the Hickory Junction PUD ordinance to the council with a positive recommendation.
So we have a motion and a second to forward with a positive recommendation. All those in favor, please signify with an aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, same sign. That motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Moving right along on our agenda, we have no more items under old business. I only see one item here under new business, so we'll go ahead and move forward to that, which is docket 24-26. Ben, you got some info for us?
I certainly do. So this is a 100% voluntary annexation. Actually, we'll just go with that. And this is a site, a property that has been acquired or is under contract by the Henke team to be annexed and absorbed into the conceptual development, overall development of the Waterford neighborhood. So for those that need to be oriented here, it's a little bit hard to tell. This is 100 South that runs along the northern border of the property. This is the old Big Four rail line here. So everything to the south and east of this is already in the Waterford development. This is kind of the northwest corner of the large part of Waterford here that they have now got under contract. Actually, they've got some other properties to the west here under contract, but this is the only one that wasn't already in the city. So this, along with these 2 properties to the west here, or 2 parcels to the west, are all properties they now have under contract and intend to bring into the Waterford PUD. This is the 1 parcel of the 3 that wasn't already in the city. So the first step before they can amend their PUD ordinance to include these additional parcels in the Waterford PUD is to annex this property. So that is what's before you here tonight, is a 100% voluntary annexation of this property. And just another reminder then, in terms of the process, the first step in our annexation process is to bring it to the Plan Commission for a recommendation on the zoning classification to assign the property. That recommendation is then forwarded to the council. The council considers the annexation ordinance and then also the zoning recommendation provided from the Plan Commission. So there's a multiple step process. The Plan Commission's role is not necessarily to decide whether it's an appropriate annexation or consider the merits of the annexation itself. It's to consider the zoning of the property based on the comprehensive plan and other developments that are in the area. And so in terms of what we looked at and we evaluated this is whether there is the comprehensive plan would suggest a land use for the area. And also, in addition to that, if there is any conceptual plans that are put together in support of the zoning request. And so there's just in terms of the timing, there is not a new concept plan for Waterford as of yet. And so what we talked to them about is just based on the timing, let's bring it in under the default zoning classification of R1 and get the annexation completed and effective, and then they can come back through and do their PUD ordinance amendment to include this property. So absent that conceptual design that would support something other than the R1 zoning classification, staff would recommend that we just go with the default zoning classification. So that's what we've done in this case for this 100% voluntary annexation. Since there is not a development proposal or concept at this time, staff would recommend that the Plan Commission recommend the residential R1 zoning classification to the Common Council for the proposed annexed territory. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Thanks, Ben. Any questions from the commission? Applicant care to speak?
Good evening, members of the Plan Commission. My name is Kent Franzen. I'm the attorney practicing in Lebanon, 225 West Main Street. I am the attorney for the petitioner in this proceeding this evening. Ben outlined the situation. It's 100% voluntary annexation of land that is contiguous to the city, which is really the only legal requirement other than the consent of the landowner for annexation. The landowner has consented to the annexation, and the plan is to acquire this property once the steps for development are in place. As Ben pointed out, we've got some other parcels that need to be rezoned to Waterford PUD, but this one needs to be brought into the city before it's also rezoned. With me here this evening is Doug Fleener, one of the principals of Hankey Development. It's been 3 years since this project was originally proposed with some original zoning changes. Project's been on hold for a variety of reasons, and I thought it'd be good to have Doug here to answer any questions you may have about what the plans are for Waterford. I don't think they've significantly changed since it started, although it's actually a little bigger now than it was 2 or 3 years ago. But the basic concepts are the same, but he will know more about that than I do. If you have questions, Doug's the guy to answer them. And if you have any questions of me about the legal process or the requirements, I'll be happy to address those. So I'll let Doug talk and see if there's anything you have from him.
I'm Doug Fleener, 10663 Barrington Way in Zionsville, Indiana. Appreciate your guys' time this evening. We're excited about the opportunity. We're as excited as we've ever been to get started. I think, as everyone knows, we're anxiously waiting some utilities to come to us, but any chance that we get to grow what we're doing with the existing property, in this case about 250 acres to the west, allows us to expand and use our imagination even a little more with some of the amenities and things that we're looking at doing there. And so this was an opportunity that came to us that we wanted to jump on, especially in light of all the great news that's coming out of Lebanon with LEAP and Lilly and the basketball facility and all the great things that are happening. So we're anxious and excited to get started as soon as we have the opportunity to with the utilities. Happy to answer any questions. Thanks.
Any questions from the commission? Good deal. So with that, again, this is a public hearing, so I will officially open the public hearing. If anyone has any comment on the potential recommendation on zoning, please feel free to step to the microphone. Seeing none, I will go ahead and close that public hearing. So the public hearing is officially closed. And with that, we would then entertain a motion with a recommendation on the zoning classification for docket number 2024-26.
I'll make a motion to recommend the residential R1 zoning classification to the Common Council for the proposed annexed territory.
We have a motion. Do we have a
Second.
And we have a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. That motion does carry. Thank you very much, folks and commissioners. I appreciate it. I see no other business to come before the commission. So with that, I would entertain then a motion to adjourn. We've got a motion to adjourn and a second. All those in favor, please signify with an aye. Aye. All those opposed, same sign. Our meeting is adjourned. We will see you at the next regularly scheduled Plan Commission meeting.